Hello, hello everybody. I'd like to welcome everybody to this version of "You Are Not the Thinker," and I'm doing step 2 again. We came to believe, and in the background, as you can see, I got a blackboard up. Well, I have a whiteboard up, and let me see if I can get me in here. Yeah. And meantime, while I find myself, there I go. On the board, what you're looking at is on my board is I have step 2 written down. Oh, let me introduce myself first. My name is Suni, and I'm in recovery. The name of this channel is Suni Sami, Sunisami, and I am talking about recovery. And I'm using the 12-step model. The 12-step model is what I'm using. So that being said, I have several other videos out for those just coming in and or just paying attention. And so I'm saying that to say is you can go back and you can look at them. However, I'm still, working on getting my channel together. Before I get into this, when I first started, I just wanted to put some information out. Then it came back to having a let me see something says no data. All right, there we go. And so I had to know data out. I wonder what that was about. So anyway, I'm gonna start from the beginning, and my connection is looking good. So my name is Suni, and I'm a person in recovery. I'm a human being in recovery. And that being said, I started this channel about 1.5 years ago, and I just wanted to put out some information, have a YouTube channel, and have some information. And what is happening, what has happened is, my thinking changed. I started trying to get all these what do you want to call it, subscribers. But that's not my intention. My intention is not to get no subscribers, it's to put information out. That's my main priority. And if one person get help, that's fine. So I'm cool with that. So I got several videos out. I'm gonna continue to make them, and that's it. So tonight this particular one is called, I'm doing a series called "You Are Not the Thinker." This one is called "We Came to Believe That a Power Greater Than Ourselves Could Restore Us to Sanity." So that being said, I'm gonna start off at step 1, and then I'm gonna go to step 2. And when I'm sitting in meetings and I'm listening, a lot of people talk about the drugs, or the alcohol, or the gambling, or the sex. I like to say this, man. Those are the symptoms of addiction. Addiction is obsessive thinking and compulsive behavior. Let me say it again. Addiction is obsessive thinking, compulsive behavior. One more time. Obsessive thinking, which means that the thinking is centered around a person, place, or thing that's ongoing, followed by compulsive behavior. Compulsion is very simply when a person acts without thought. When a person acts without thought, or the thinking has taken control of the individual or collective. So addiction not only affects an individual, it can affect a collective. It could affect a family. It can affect a block, a neighborhood, a society. This is how powerful addiction is. So in step one, when it says we admitted that we were powerless over our addiction, that our lives had become unmanageable, what it's very simply saying when it's talking about the we, it could be talking about the individual, mentally, physically, spiritually, and emotionally, or it could be talking about a group / collective / society. That's what it can be talking about. And the powerlessness is in the thinking. And the unmanageability is very simple. The obsession. That's the unmanageability of addiction. Very, very simple. And some of the symptoms could be, and I say it could be sex, it could be gambling, it could be drugs, it could be drama, it could be work, it could be whatever it is that has that the thinking has taken over control of the person. That's why I'm saying you are not the thinker. The thinking has you. The obsession has the individual and the compulsion. So what I aim to do on this particular one is go into some of the powers greater than ourselves. So let me back up. So what does step 2 says? Step 2 says, we came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. So when I'm sitting in the rooms, right, and I'm sharing or I'm listening to other people share, and they hear about a power greater than themselves, they automatically go to a higher power. Somehow people go into step 3. They automatically go to step 3 because they hear about a power greater than themselves. Inside of step 2, in one of the readings in one of the books, and I think it's in the NA book, it says you cannot achieve recovery unless you get with step 2. In the AA, the saying is that a person could do the 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, or 1, 2, 1, 2. They could 2-step it. Step 1, step 2, step 1, step 2. But until the individual have right now an understanding and a correct understanding of step 2, you might be able to stay clean. You may not gamble. You may cut your drama down a little bit. But in order to achieve what's called ongoing recovery, it would never happen. It would never happen. You'll be like a person that's all over the place, going from here to there, from there to here to there, north, east, south, west. You'll never stabilize, because step 2 is the step that stabilizes the individual in recovery. In other words, it gives you a firm foundation. And a lot of times people think it's the God element. Well, let's look at step 2 and see what I'm talking about. So step 2 says, we came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. And the conditional word inside of step 2 is what? Could. It's right here. Right there. It's right there. The conditional word is could. Not would, not going to happen. It's called could. It says could. And that condition is I must get something in the moment. Something must happen in the moment for me to be restored to sanity. Why? Because two things happen in the moment, either addiction or recovery. And they both cannot share the same spot at the same time. Let me repeat that again. Inside of recovery is two things going to happen in the moment. Either recovery or addiction. And when I say addiction, I don't mean drugs, I don't mean sex, I don't mean gambling, I don't mean power plays, I don't mean none of that. I mean, whatever it is in that moment that you're going through is going to restore you to sanity. And it's going to be mentally, physically, spiritually, and emotionally for the individual and also the group. You know, I sit here a lot of times and I listen to people and I be like, damn. And really I'm identifying, right? I'm identifying with people. I'm like, they really believe that the power is God, and they forget about stuff like confusion, obsession, compulsion, selfishness. They forget about hate, anger, resentment, rage, or they forget about love, or they forget about harmony, or they forget about peace, or they forget about perseverance, or they forget about gratitude. These, or even addiction. Because understand, addiction is a power greater than yourself, like alcoholism, like overeating, like food. These are all powers greater than the individual. And what step 2 is designed to do is to take the individual, whatever's happening in the moment, and you identify with it. And you see it mentally, physically, spiritually, and emotionally. Sounds very complicated, don't it? Understand that a television, a radio, a television show, a radio show, a sunset, a moon, anything could be a power greater than oneself. Step 2 is designed to do this very simply. To keep one in, to bring you back into the moment, or to bring the group back into the moment. And some people call it the here and now, or the now. Why? Because addiction is designed to do is to take you out of the moment and take the individual somewhere else. That's what addiction does. Addiction takes a person out of the moment and takes them either into the future or into the past. That's what addiction does. Addiction, like I hear people talk about, oh, well, you know, it's about using, it's about eating, or it's about gambling, no, those are the symptoms. When those symptoms are active, you understand that the disease of addiction is active. And the individual or the group are not themselves. An entity has just taken over. That's why step 1 says we admitted that we were powerless over our addiction, that our lives had become unmanageable. Because if you look at the step 1, you're looking at what? You're looking at experience that's already happening, a personal experience that you've experienced firsthand or secondhand, and you making the admission. And firsthand is one's own personal experience. The second hand is something that you see. You saw it. And that's the admission. So let's talk about not being a thinker for a moment. Because inside the recovery process, as one go through the step process, one of the things that'll be seen is that the individual, although they're thinking, it's something else that's thinking for you. What step 2 is designed to do is for you to see that what's doing the thinking and how you as the individual or the collective or the group can come back into what? Sanity. Because one has to admit, if you can't admit this about step 2, you'll never get it. What does it say? It says we came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. So if you look, so you have to admit at some point you were insane in the moment. A lot of people don't want to admit that. But all you have to do is look at your symptom. Where this food, overeating. You 5'4", weight 180 pounds. You angry at the world, like the world owe you something. Or you just can't stop doing drugs. You got a pain body going on. We're going to talk about that. So this is what this thing is all about, man. The individual or the group, they can't even look at their own self. They got to go around looking at other people, not identifying, but comparing. They don't like themselves. The feelings and emotions that they go through are so overwhelming. They have to have something. They have to have something to make them feel better, and at the same time to bring their emotional level to a quote-unquote stable. So anyway, you are not the thinker. You are not the thinker. What happens is the obsession takes over the person or the group in their own thinking. And then and that's called the obsession, and through the compulsion, they act. And as a result of the compulsion, they're insane. The individual is insane. And it hits in all 4 areas: mentally, physically, spiritually, and emotionally. The individual or the group will actually believe that they're the ones thinking. And they don't know that they're under the influence of the addiction. Or they've been possessed. Let's call it exactly what it is. They're possessed. And understand that some of the other symptoms include not only sex, not only gambling, not only drugs, not only alcohol, not only food, not only drama, not only the illusion of power. And I don't care how much money you got or how much power you got or who you think you is. Power is an illusion. Whether you the manager, a supervisor, a president, or a dictator, it's an illusion. And why do I say it? Because somebody can come and take it from you at any time. Somebody can come and depose you. Somebody can come and take your job. You can get fired. Why? Because there's laws governing everything. As so above, so below, just like it's in out. Just like it is on the out, it is within. Or without is within. This is step 2. This is step 2. So that being said, the step 2 inventory. An inventory of step 2 should be made. And understanding that obsessive thinking and compulsive behavior, what does it bring? It brings about confusion. Number one, the person is confused. Their sense of reality is taken away by a thought. And there's no specific or one set for when a person thinking is taken away. But what I can tell you for sure, they're not stable people. Not. They have no stability. They are so flexible they could pick up a dime. And they're in a lot of pain. The pain is spiritual and emotional and physical, and it's mental. And they will have a tendency to bring confusion not only to themselves, but they'll try to spread it wherever they are. When I say pain, what I mean, again, is mental pain, spiritual pain, emotional pain, and it results in physical pain. And depending on what symptom is that, what symptom or set of symptoms, because it doesn't have to be one symptom, it could be more than one symptom that the individual or the collective is experiencing in the moment that their mind, that they can honestly believe that they're doing the thinking. And they don't realize that their thinking process has been what? Afflicted. So what they would tend to experience is, when you look at my board behind me, is resentment, anger, and fear. They are resentful, anger, and fear, and they cannot live in the moment. They have to live either in the past or from the past, and that's the resentment. Only thing resentment is anger at the past. I'm angry at my past. I'm angry at my past, and I'm manifesting it in the present. And this anger could be anything, but it's usually centered around trauma, a traumatic event that happened in their lives, and there's 4 different levels of trauma. And I won't go into all of them. But it could start off with the minor form of trauma, with just one traumatic event, to another type of trauma that is the same thing happening over and over and over, to a series of events, that's another level. And then you have PTSD, post-traumatic stress syndrome. That's a whole nother level of trauma. And what happens is the individual or the group let me back up a little bit. What's also has happened is, through these different events, the ego is developed or developing. Oh yeah, because there's 2 types of ego. There's the one type of ego where the individual feels they're superior, or the group feels they're superior, the collective feel they're superior over other people, regardless they feel like they're superior to other people. Yeah. they could be like a type of a supremacist, or it could be political, or it could be economically, or a combination of the both. Status in society. Or it could be the victim, the victimized ego. And we hear it a lot of times, where the people feel like, because of my circumstances, I was, my people went through this traumatic situation, or I went through this traumatic situation, and and the world just owe me right now. Yeah, this is that type of an ego. So you have two sets of two different types of ego that's at play. But at the end of the day, both the victim and the superior ego, check this out, they are the ones that says they've either suffered the most, victimized the most, or they're better than. And so, what happens is a shadow self / counterfeit personality is developed. And we see this type of behavior all over. We see people demonstrating this type of in groups, in mass, or individuals. They call themselves I am. I'm a this, I'm a that, I'm a this, I'm a that. They're anything but they self, these people. And some of them will claim to have some divine knowledge. That's not funny. They claim to have this knowledge, or they claim to be spiritually endowed, and that's a part of this ego, this false self, this counterfeit personality. And they actually think this. And this is why what step 2 is designed to do. It's designed to point this type of thinking out, and then also dissolve it. Because why? At the end of the day, there's only one source. And that ain't it. So moving on through the two types of people that I talked about, they carry this pain body, and what happens is they gravitate toward it. So let's talk about anger. Inside of anger, the individual or the group is angry in the moment, and they cannot see, or they don't have a sense of clarity, because inside their anger, this demonic or demon has taken them over. And what they use, and I'll call it pain, it's still a type of pain that the individual lives under. And it's expressed, like I said, again, either in the victim or superior. Either the victim identity or the superior identity. And principles such as love, gratitude, service, these types of, and I'm talking about selfless service and not selfish service. And what happens with these individuals is that they inside their diseased thinking, they think that they are the thinker, when really they are under the influence or the spell of the disease of addiction. That's what's really going on. That's what's really going on. So that being said, what step 2 is designed to do, okay, now let me back up a little bit. Inside the anger mode, the person is taking themselves out of the present. They're looking for solutions, or excuse me, not solutions. They're looking for rationalizations to justify why they're angry. And they'll do anything. Because what comes after anger? Well, let's start below anger. There's some sad people, or there's some mad people. And what they do is, and let me switch up a little bit. And so what's going on with these people, these sad people, and these mad people, is the personalities that they take on. They tend to number one, not only are they affected, they want to affect other people. What the step 2 process does, and step 2 is a process, is designed to dissolve the anger and the resentment, bring the person back into the present or the now, dissolve the fear. And what is fear? Fear is the fear of the future. Now, what are some of the symptoms of people that's not living in the now, in the present? 2 things. They're either always talking about what has happened. Well, they beat me up and they did this to me and da 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 da. Or they will always reach for what's in the future. They don't never look at what's in the present. Because in looking in the present, guess what happened? The ego and their counterfeit personality will be dissolved, and they won't know what to do. They won't have nothing to live for. We talking about these people. And you can look at these people and see that they are very sick people. You can see them in the drug state. You can see them inside their addiction. The symptoms of their addiction. Plain. If they're overeaters, they're going to tend to be what? Fat. I hate to say it, but it's just true. And I said tend to be. That's, given that they have some type of a disorder. But they'll tend to be fat. If they what's the opposite of those that eat a lot? Binge. Or they'll binge, then throw up. Long story short, these people are in conflict with their feelings and their emotions. They're in conflict with their own feelings and their own emotions. Long story short. Step 2. What spiritual principle governs step 2 is open-mindedness. You must be open-minded in order to get into the spiritual solution of step 2. And these people and these groups are not open-minded. They are very closed-minded. They so closed-minded. If it was any closed, they'd suffocate because they couldn't breathe. So long story short, open-mindedness is the spiritual principle that can bust through or cause the individual that's thinking to stop that thinking. Usually these people that suffers from a sense of insanity, I like to call it, And really they are, you know, because step 2 says it. It says what? We came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could, not would, restore us to sanity. So the power is greater than itself is, sorry to say, it's not God. It's whatever you're under the influence at the time. Excuse me, let me back it up. So whatever the influence you are under, and it's usually egoic or shadow self. And we'll put a video out going more in depth on shadow self, trauma, the ego, and the 12-step process on how it's designed to dissolve all that. And it takes a while. And it takes time. And it takes patience. So that being said, understand that a power greater than oneself is anything that can restore the person to break the obsessive thinking and the compulsive behavior in the moment. Now understand this. Everybody don't want that thinking to be broke. Nah. So let me back up a little bit. Well, you said, well, Suni, why don't people want to continue to think like that? Because understand this. One of the addictions that most people have, symptoms, is called fantasy. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. It's called fantasy. So people will support their addiction, their addictive thinking with what? Fantasy. And they don't even know it. Well, you say, well, Sony, well, how you getting all this information? Well, I didn't create it. I didn't create it. I didn't make none of this up. I went somewhere and got it. And a lot of it I identify with. So understand, in order to recover, and it's not only through drugs, it's not only through sex, it's not only through gambling, it's not only through alcohol, it's not only through fantasy, it's not only through drama, thinking you're a you the president or some shit like that. It's realizing that you're not the thinker. And once you realize that, once you come obsessed and compulsed about something, that you have an entity living right inside you. And the first thing you don't want to deal with is reality. Is that the reality is created inside your mind through a thinking loop. And that's the dryer going off. Somebody watching. And you understand that. And once you understand that, then you have a better chance of coming into reality. So wrapping this thing up, understand that you must learn how to look at your thinking. But the first thing you have to get past is the denial. And the first thing that you must admit is that a lot of times you ain't even, and that's a hard deal right there. A lot of times you ain't even in charge of your own damn thinking. A lot of times you're not in control of your own thinking. You're more powerless over the thinking. And people don't want to admit that. Yeah. So I'm talking about it because I'm trying to get past my own. I ain't gonna say I'm trying. I'm in the process of getting past my own thinking. Yeah. Believe that. You know. One thing is thinking that you're the authority. The moment you think you're the authority, you're the I am, you're in the grip of your disease. Why? Because the ego is present. And the ego is the one that says, look, I am. But if you know, you don't have to say I am. Understand that. I don't have to tell y'all I'm a black man. I don't even have to tell y'all I'm a man. I already know it. Now, if you can't see it, I don't know what to tell you. But that's how addiction works. It tells you that you're something that you're not. And it's ego-based. So anyway, wrapping this thing up. I've been on here a few minutes. Understand. Well, I'm going to tell you what I understand. Most people I deal with in my life are under the illusion that they are. I'm just going to flat out say it. I don't want nobody that I deal with to think that I think of them in a certain way. I'm around addictive people all day that's under a cloud. Wherever I go. Now, I said it, and I'm going to stand on it. And I identify with them. How about that? So I'm going to put me in there too. I just identify with them. That's it. People I listen to on YouTube, people I converse with in and out the house. You know. So anyway, we're going to wrap this sharing up. And I'm going to put out another piece called You Are Not the Thinker. And we're going to talk about the third step. We're going to go a little bit more into the second step, but we're going to trip off into the third step. I don't know when I'm going to do it. I ain't going to say, you know, man, I got a subscribe button up there. I really don't give a shit if you do or don't. I have to say that. I really don't, because once I start trying to do all this other shit, subscribe and all that, man, I changed my message. You know, one of my mellows told me, I'm going to share this, I'm going to let it go. One of my mellows told me, he came, a couple of them, that, you know, man, you should do this, you should do that. Man, I stopped doing stuff. But I ran across a dude last week, man. I ran across a dude last week. And the dude was stuck in the hospital. I was in the hospital. You know, I was in the hospital, you know, doing something. Dude said, yeah, I know you, man. I said, yeah. He said, yeah. He said, I watched that. He said, I was in the hospital. I was watching your videos, man, and they helped me. One person. He said, thank you. Because I couldn't get out of here. And that's all I had. And then nobody visited me. I said, I just sat there. I ain't say shit, man. Then there was a young lady hit me up. I'm in Walmart. She said, hey. I'm walking, right? She was a little cutie pie, you know what I'm saying? She said, hey. My ego came out. I said, well, what's up? She said, you know, I saw what you put out. And thank you. I said, all right. So anyway, I'm no more for the popular people. Hold up, let me get my thing back on here. I'm no more for the popular. I'm through trying to be popular. Whatever, man. I'll be on here talking about step 3. Maybe tomorrow, I don't know. But it's going to be before the week is out. And I'm going to say this, man. Remember, you're not the thinker. You know, you're not the thinker. After years and years of being programmed by television, society, and a mug going to tell me because you got so many years, you thinking now, you better go talk to somebody else. Don't talk to me, because I know you delusional. And the people you listening to, most likely. I heard a dude say, look, let me tell you this, right? I heard a dude say slavery didn't exist. I said, who is this dude? He said, but I know he spent a lot of time in prison too. He said, slavery never happened. I looked at that dude, man, I said, this dude is sick. Yeah. So this is what we got going on out here. You know, we got a lot of sick people. I ain't praying for them. I don't pray for people like that. You know. So we're going to be on step 3 tomorrow. My name is Suni. S-U-N-I-S-A-M-I. Put it in the search. And recovery is just a day at a time. Sometimes it's a moment at a time. And part of the time is sharing the time. I'll holler at y'all later. And I'm going to throw my jam on. Can I play my jam? Yeah, that's my jam right there, y'all. I don't know what it is about that I like. All right.